All right. Without further ado, let's head to our featured speaker, Sheri Pettus. We're super excited to have Sheri. Was a featured speaker at Family Reunion. She's somebody who's a difference maker in her community. She closes 60 homes per year using some very unconventional lead gen methods that some of them also lead to tax breaks. So I think it's going to be very interesting. We're very excited to have Sheri join us today. So I'll turn it over to Sheri now. Welcome, Sheri.
Hi, everyone. Ooh, I'm a little nervous. And I'm
No
in my,
way.
I
How
was
can
telling
we
them,
make you nervous after you were featured at Family Reunion? Come on.
oh, I'm really nervous. Just playing.
I knew it.
All right. So I got a few minutes to tell you my story and how I lead generate in very unconventional ways. My name is Sheri Pettus. I am 55 years old and I have been selling real estate since 1997. I grew up in Boston. I moved to Georgia in 1993 because I got mad at my boyfriend and I found out he was cheating on me and doing drugs. So I was like, I'm leaving. And one of my sorority sisters said, come on to Atlanta, come hang out for the weekend. I had my degree in hospitality management. And when I left Boston that Friday, it was 30 degrees, rainy, snowy, cold. And when I got off the plane here, you all had on flip-flops and t-shirts. So I decided to quit my job and move to Atlanta. I'm trying to take my bracelets off because they're so noisy when I move. So I came here and I started selling real estate. I started with one of my aunts and I did one transaction with her and I realized that's not what I wanted to do. Didn't want to work for family. I was with one company for 10 years and that is where my career really kicked off because I started going after expired listings. I stayed with them for 10 years and in 2012, I joined Keller Williams. And one of the reasons why I joined KW was because I wanted to do more volunteer work. But I don't like organizing stuff. I just want to show up, tell me if I got to wear some overalls and Timberlands and bring some paint, or if I'm bringing my checkbook. So I joined KW. I loved the whole Red Day process, and that inspired me to create a nonprofit. And my nonprofit is called Step Up Foundations. This is why I had the opportunity to be on a panel at Family Reunion. It was called A Legacy Worth Building, Leaving that Transforms Your Community. I grew up in Boston, like I said, and when I was in high school, I came home in the 11th grade and I told my mother, she's a single parent, and I told my mother, and I'm an only child, that I was joining the military. And my mother said, no, you're not. And I was like, oh, yes, I am. I'm not going to college. And my mother said, what are you going to do? And I told her I was going to get a job and help her pay her bills. Y'all, my mama got nose to nose like this. And she said, I ain't gonna say what she said, but she said, I'll make your life so blank, blank and miserable, you wish you went. I went to college. That's 4 years of my life, right? But growing up, I had a cousin that was younger than me, 3 years younger than me. And she has given me permission to tell this story. And include her name. My cousin's name is Simone. Simone is 3 years younger than me. And when I was probably in the 6th or 7th grade, I was sitting down doing fractions and she came over and asked me to show her. And I was like, girl, you don't know what you're doing. You too young. But I showed her, she picked it up like that. Simone was so much smarter than most of us, right? But Simone did not have anyone push her to go to college. My cousin ended up becoming addicted to cocaine, crack, and heroin. Now, we talking in the 80s. My cousin wanted me to share. I spoke to her last week and asked her, can I share the story of Family Reunion and with you all? And she said, yes, if I'm your inspiration to do what you keep doing and let everybody know I got 60 days clean. So I'm very excited about that. But that has been my motivation to fund this nonprofit. every closing we have, I take out 10%. I have a 501, and I take out 10%. It's on my DA, and that 10% goes to scholarships in my community. It started with my kids' high school. So far, we've given away $75,000. So let's get into the fun part about lead generating. I lead generate everywhere I go. The nail salon, the hair salon, the grocery store, the restaurant, the OBGYN, the dentist, everywhere. And I started doing that when I didn't have any money. Someone told me, well, you can write everything off. And I was like, what are you talking about? You mean to tell me if I go to the nail salon and talk about real estate with the customers and the nail tech, that I can write off my nails? And that's what I started doing. I started doing at the restaurant. I talked to anybody and their mama so I could write everything off. And it turned into a business. One of the things that I'm a big cheerleader for is I raise my hand to other agents outside my market center. When I was doing 2 million, I went to someone who was doing 5 million. When I got to 5, I went to 10. When I got to 10, I went to someone who did 15. When I got to 15, because my best year in real estate so far is 18 million. And our average sales price now is about 315, maybe 320. So I lead generate everywhere I go. And a lot of agents say, well, Sheri, how do you lead generate everywhere you go? How does it start off? I grew up, I'm very honest. I grew up north. I grew up in the hood. I grew up around drug dealers, prostitute pimps, like the whole nine, right? And I learned to turn my hustle legal. I learned how to eavesdrop because I was always looking over my shoulder, making sure I was safe. But I learned how to insert myself in conversations without coming across as hostile or rude. I look for a way to strike up conversations, right? So I'm at the nail salon one day because I'm about to write my nails off. And I see a lady sit next to me, and she is talking to her nail tech. I'm talking to my nail tech. And the nail tech asked her, hey, Miss Sophia, you've been traveling. Where have you been lately? Miss Sophia said, oh, I've been to Italy. That was great. And then she said, I've been to Boston. Ding, ding, ding. Who grew up in Boston? Y'all, I couldn't wait to start talking to her. So I started talking to her, and I'm telling her how much I love Keller Williams, and we're the #1 company in the world, the country, the county. We sell more homes than anybody else. We're great training, giving her the whole spiel. She says to me, oh, I have a really great friend in Austin, Texas. She sells a lot of real estate. And I'm like, who's your friend? Like, I know somebody in Texas. I don't. I said, oh, who's your friend? She said, Diana Kokoska. So for you all who don't know who that is, Diana Kokoska was the author of Bold, and CEO or creator, something like that, of the MAPS coaching program. She a big deal. So I'm very bold, y'all, because I've taken bold 10 times. And some say, oh, why you take bold so many times? Because every time I take it, I'm at a different stage in my business. I'm in a different point of my personal life. So yes, I've taken bold 10 times. I've been on ALC for 8 years, and I've been in MAPS coaching for 7 years. Y'all, I drank the Kool-Aid. You can't see my lips painted in red, my nails. I used to have red hair. I drank the Kool-Aid, took a shower in it. You couldn't drag me out of KW. You literally have to drag me kicking and screaming. All right, so back to the nail salon. So I take a picture with Miss Sophia. Take a picture, cheese, right? And I send it to Diana Kokoska because I'm very bold. I send it to Diana. I tell her, hey, I met your friend all the way here in Stockbridge. Who would have ever thought that Diana Kokoska's niece is married to this lady's son, and they live literally like 3 miles away from me? So I send an email and I say, Diana, and I include both of them. Diana, I met your friend Sophia in Henry County, Georgia. Sophia responds, Diana, I met Sheri Pettus. She was so awesome. Diana says, oh, hey, I'm coming to Georgia and I want to meet you this summer. I tell my team leader says, oh, why don't you pick her up from the airport? I'm like, you know what? What a good idea. So I email her about 4 or 5.
Sheri, I promise I won't interrupt you, but
Yep.
some of the folks on the call are not from KW and some are new to KW, and this
Oh,
is amazing. So do you want to
okay.
share who Diana Kokoska is, just so folks?
Yes. Yes. So Diana Kokoska used to be like right under Gary, or I mean, you probably could tell more. I know she created Bold, which is that program that helps it helps agents create 14, roughly 14 more transactions. And she was the creator of MAPS Coaching. So MAPS Coaching is a very high level coaching program that took me from 3 million to 18 million in probably 4 years. I don't work nights and I don't work weekends. So it was that's part of why my business got to where it is. So I tell you all of this to say, lead generating pays off in so many different ways, because now I have a relationship with this woman. I have her cell phone, right? I lead generate everywhere I go. And a lot of agents I find are secret agents and they don't tell what they do. The only place I won't lead generate is at a funeral. But I'm a lead generate at the repast when everybody is eating and they stop crying. I absolutely am going to talk to everyone. And I am very intentional on my conversation. I am very intentional on how I navigate a conversation. I can turn any conversation into real estate. I don't care what we're talking about. It could be a game. You literally could throw a word out and I will work that word and somehow into real estate. So again, I lead generate everywhere I go. And some agents say, well, what do you talk about? I feel like any agent, if you just got your license 9 o'clock this morning, these are the things you probably need to know. And you can have an intelligent conversation with anyone and sound like you've been doing this for a while. If you know your average sales price, write this down. Your average sales price, if you know the average days on market, if you know what builders are in the area, if you know a roundabout figure, what the interest rate is, what zip codes are selling. I'm just throwing things out there. Those are the things you could look up every day, pull up your MLS, have a hot sheet, or just pull it up, look at it so that you can have a conversation. Because a lot of times someone will walk up to you. I normally have my name tag on, but I'm at home. I wear my name tag everywhere. I have friends who I'll go to their events and they'll go, Sheri, anybody know you a realtor? Take your damn name tag off. And I'm no, I'm wearing my name tag everywhere. So I lead generate everywhere I go. One of the places that helped build my business was hanging out at my kids' school. I'm a true believer in finding your village or your tribe, whether that's at the gym, church, PTA, the office, the softball field. You do volunteer work. You spend the majority of your time somewhere else besides work. And for me, for many years, it was my kids' school, because I have a daughter who played basketball, softball, and volleyball, particularly softball. We did travel ball. So I lead generated in Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, because one of the things that I pride and brand myself is I can help you buy or sell a house anywhere. And I put that on my social media a lot. People say, well, how can you do it anywhere? Are you licensed everywhere? No, but I know enough to ask the right questions. I can help you choose the right realtor depending on if you need a listing agent or a buyer's agent. I know the right questions to ask to make sure that realtor has your best interest and enough experience. So I teach this class called Unconventional Ways of Lead Generating. And again, I raise my hand and I ask for help and I ask questions a lot and I talk a lot. So I'm learning how to listen a whole lot more. When George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery were killed, my daughter, who was my marketing director at the time, Treasure was a college graduate. She has a degree in leadership, and she came to work for me, even though she hates real estate, but she needed a job. She got tired of living with a boyfriend. She said the last meal they ate was ketchup and crackers. She came home. So I raised my hand, and she wrote this letter to the world about what it was like to be the daughter of a Black man in America. And Mo ended up seeing it, right? Because I raised my hand and I sent it to her, and we had an amazing conversation. And as a result of that, Mo has chimed in. Mo Anderson, I'm sorry. Mo Anderson is, I'm not sure what her title is, but she's kind of up there with Gary Keller. So long story short, this conversation ended up with me going out to Oklahoma. I stayed at Mo's house and I taught this class because there's so much value and you miss out on so many opportunities because you won't open your mouth. And I'm not saying everybody, but there's a lot of agents who feel like they're intruding on your space. But if you come from contribution, most people want to talk about real estate, even if they don't have no money. They still want to act like they know what they're talking about. So if you can answer a few questions, and many times folks don't ask specific questions. They typically just say, oh, how's the real estate market? I never say crazy, oh, it's this and that. The real estate market is always fantastic. It is phenomenal. It is fabulous because there's a lot of agents out there who are selling a lot of houses, right? And you probably have heard, and I don't care what company you're with, what market, what part of the country, it is all a mindset. One of my biggest bold laws is what you focus on expands. And I truly, truly, truly believe that because 5 years ago, I decided I was going to take over Eagles Landing Country Club, one of the big country clubs in the South, has an amazing golf course. Chris Tucker, all these famous people host these amazing events there. And one of the ladies who I have lunch with there said to me, in her very prim and proper country club voice, honey, you're never gonna get into the country club because so-and-so and so-and-so, they own that. Okay, watch me. And I became very diligent in that country club. That was 4 years ago. Since then, I've sold 2 homes. I have 2 listings. I am speaking on a panel tonight for International Women's Day. And next month, I'm going to be the host at karaoke. I'm taking over that country club. Don't tell me I can't. I believe in a 135. If you don't use your 135, I implore you to get with your coach, your team leader, your assistant team leader. Get with them and do that 135. I've done a 135 to build my team, to become a rainmaker. I did a 135, y'all, to be a family reunion panelist, and that works. I did a 135 to get divorced. That worked too.
Sheri, someone actually just asked in the chat, and if you don't mind, we have a couple questions. So someone asked, do you have a team? And it sounds like you just said you have a team.
So I've had a team for several years, and it is typically me. I have me, an assistant, a marketing director, and I had 2 buyer's agents, right? But now I have just me and an assistant, and I kind of just it was a mutual agreement with the 1 buyer's agent that I had. It just didn't work out. So right now I'm flying solo. I am considering hiring another buyer's agent. I don't know. We just had our award ceremony yesterday, and I got #1 team in GCI and volume, and it was all me. She had 1 closing, and she just didn't do a whole lot of follow-up. So what's your next question?
I have a question, actually. Sorry, I'm going to get mine to the front. So I don't know what's in everyone's head that's watching so far, but what I'm thinking if some agents have limiting beliefs and they're going, Sheri's amazing, but she's got this big, magnetic, amazing personality, and I don't have that kind of personality. Like, how do I take what Sheri's talking about and apply it to me? I mean, if I was selling real estate, I'd be thinking that about myself. Like, yeah, of course you can go in and command a room and generate leads, but if you don't have that magnetic big personality, I'm sure there are other ways you can recommend to do it. Or does this kind of work for anybody, even if you don't have that kind of personality? What would you say to just a regular person that's not like you?
I'm very, and it didn't start this way. It didn't start this way. This comes from, this comes from bold, taking it 10 times. This comes from taking Ignite. This comes from having, excuse my French, a badass coach who said, what you scared of? And my thought process was, they're not going to hit me. Nobody's going to push me out the way. The most they can do is cuss at me and tell me get about their face. Well, hell, I grew up in the hood. That ain't nothing new, right? I feel like if you know what you're talking about, all they can do is say, no, thank you. Nobody's going to yell at you, cuss at you, push you out the way. The most they are going to do is say, nope, no, thank you. Not busy. I ain't got time. And even if they come back and say, oh, the real estate market is BS or it's this, is that, have enough information where you can give them valid objections.
Makes a lot of sense. I just read something recently said essentially what you're saying, like preparation is the antidote to fear or something like that. If you do your homework and you know what you're talking about, then you feel a lot more confident. So it makes sense. And it sounds like you do that. You always know the absorption rate, the days on the market, all that stuff. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Or do you want me to keep talking?
No, let's get some of the questions out. I think, Elizabeth, what are some of the other questions?
Let's go to Ira, and then Holly, we'll go to you next.
Sheri, thanks so much for spending time with us today. You are awesome. I love your personality. I am that dork that wears my name tag also. And so many people have said, Ira, we know who you are.
Hey,
take it off. I wear the name tag. But I have found that going to the gym has been a really great place because I always wear a Keller Williams t-shirt. The one that I love the most is the one that says real estate is a contact sport, because people will say, what do you mean a contact sport? Isn't it a contract sport? I said, no, right now you and I are making contact. And until we make contact, we can't have a contract.
That's a great opening. I'm going to get that shirt.
So I've already done 2 CMAs. I have 5 people in my database, so they're all on smart plans because I got their addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses, and it's just so natural because they'll come up to me. One of the women right now, her son has just enrolled in real estate school, so I said, okay, great. When is it? What are his hours? Because I want him to come to my market center to see how great my market center is. Keller Williams is the place he should be. I love Keller Williams. I know there are non-KW agents here, but I'm already grooming her so that her son will become an agent with me. So it's all about the starts.
Thank you, Ira.
Yeah, that's great input, Ira. And it makes me think of something, kind of to the question that I asked. Sheri, makes a lot of sense that even if you don't have that big magnetic personality and you're not going to be in the nail salon taking over, kind of, do it in your comfort zone. So yours might be the gym. Somebody else might, belong to a road racing company or, do whatever they do, whatever your hobby is, lead generate in whatever environment that you go to and you feel comfortable, and then you'll feel a lot better. You don't have to, walk into the nail salon and introduce yourself to everybody and be that kind of magnetic, big personality. But everybody has some kind of affinity group, whether you're going to the gym or you're part of a book club, wherever it is, like kind of lead generate. I think the message, lead generate where you feel comfortable and where you're meeting lots of people, wherever that is. So thank you for that, Sheri and Ira. Who's next? Holly?
Yes. Hi,
Hey,
Sheri.
Holly.
Love you. Love your attitude. Thank you, Al. I wanted to know, I know my question in the chat was when you were getting the MAPS coaching, what type of lead gen expanded your business? Was it expired, circle prospecting, FISBOs, or just database?
That's a great question. It was primarily my expired listings. I typically list about 30 expireds a year.
Wow.
And so it pays off. So one of the tools that I use, Vulcan 7,
Mm-hmm.
and I use that as my CRM also, because it has a calendar and I can set up calls. So if you don't know what Vulcan 7 is, every morning I log in and Vulcan 7 gives me a list of expired and withdrawn, or it might be called cancels in your area. And they give me phone numbers and email addresses, and I call them. When I first started coaching, this was back in, I think, 2016, maybe. And the number of contacts we were supposed to make every day was 20. Well, now that number's double. But my coach has kept me in line in making those contacts, and I track my numbers. I knew that when I got to like 20, 22 calls, I was going to get an appointment. And then my scripts got better, my follow-up got better, my lead generating got better, and I got that number down to like 8. And then COVID hit, and I didn't really have to lead generate expires because there weren't any. But now we're back to them. I called by 4 or 5 different team leaders in our state, the expired listing queen. I love expires.
Nice.
And folks say, well, Sheri, how you get so many? Let me give you a few hints. You ready? Write this down. My first set of questions are questions that I want the seller to give me a bunch of no's. So I'm going to ask questions that I probably know they're going to say no. Did you talk to your agent every day? No, I don't talk to none of my clients every day unless I really have to. Did you have an open house? Down here, we don't have a whole lot of open houses, right? Did your client do a social media campaign geared just for your house? And they're going to go, oh, I don't even know what that is. Well, millennials are the #1 consumers of almost everything, right? Especially real estate. And how else do the majority of the millennials communicate? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if your agent didn't do a social media campaign on all the platforms, you probably missed out on a very large pool of buyers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, did you have a postcard mailing campaign for your house? No, what's that? Well, we will take a picture of your house and mail it out to our database, our sphere of influence, your farm, whatever you want to tell them. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I've asked them about the open house. Open houses only work maybe about 7% of the time. So I find a series of questions where I figure they're going to say no. Then I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions that's going to give me yeses. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I could get you the price you want, would you sell your house? If I could get you the time frame, if I could help you find your next place, if I could help you negotiate closing costs, if I could show you a marketing campaign that it would get you the results that you need, would you be willing? Can I come out and take a look at your house? I can be there in a couple of hours or in the morning. Any questions?
Do you have any more questions, Elizabeth, or anybody want to jump in with a question?
No, I think that answered Mike's question. He wanted to hear your pitch, but that was good. So I'll ask a question. So you said on all the social media platforms. So what social media platforms do you need to be on?
So I am on Facebook, of course. I'm Sheri Pettus. You can find me. I think I'm almost at my max for Facebook friends. So it'd be best to find me on Instagram, which is Step Homes. TikTok.
You are. I don't know if it was an automated message, but I sent you a friend request and I got a message back saying I'm full on Facebook. Try me on Instagram. So.
Okay. Yep. So hit me up on Instagram. I use Instagram, Facebook, and y'all, I love TikTok. They talking about banning TikTok. I'll be like, no, don't ban TikTok. I love TikTok. I put my real estate stuff. I probably post a lot, maybe probably 3-4 times a day. And I post things about my dog. Literally, I came home so I can get ready for this event, and I went in the refrigerator to get something to eat, and I pull out my daughter's pizza from last night, and her fake eyelashes are glued to the box. I posted. You go on my page, I posted. Like, it's little things like that that a lot of people feel like it's not just about real estate, but when you have social media, if you want to use it, I should be able to go to your page and see right away that you sell real estate. My Instagram, yep, is Step Homes. I don't go on my LinkedIn and my Twitter. My assistant does that. I don't know how active I am on that, but I'm very active on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So I get from some agents, well, if I don't have any past clients or any future clients and I don't have any business, what can I put on my social media? I tell agents, go to new construction. Go somewhere where there's new construction. Those agents would be more than happy to show you around, let you get some footage, put it on your social media. It can help them and it can help you. And it looks like you're working. You can ask other realtors in your area, can you share their listings? You can go to my page. You can share anything on any one of my pages. Just keep me in mind when you need to sell real estate in Atlanta. So I have no issues with you going and downloading any of my photos, whatever. I post my vacation. I post my classes, new listings, questions, a variety of things to stay relevant and to keep my feed going. Next.
Awesome. Well, if I can jump in with some questions ahead of everyone else, but if you have questions, just raise your hand. One of the things I always ask when we have a great agent like you on here is, what's a tangible, you've given us some great tangible pieces of advice, but, people want to walk away from these, with nuggets like that they can implement. And sometimes people think, well, Sheri's this big, $18, $20 million agent, it's easy for her, it's not something I can do. I'm a new agent. So I like to ask different advice for different levels of people. So if you were going to give one piece of advice to somebody who's a brand new agent, hasn't done much business yet, something that you would say you should go out and do today to try to build your business, what would that one thing be? What piece of advice would you give?
I got a few things. All right. Number one, I would go through my phone and call everybody and their mama. I don't care if you haven't talked to them in years. I don't care if you don't even remember who they are. I do the DTD2. So if you don't know what that is, ask your team leader, ask someone at KW, but it's a scheduled list of how you call the alphabet through your phone to make it easier to get through the whole alphabet. So I might call a complete stranger because at some point in my career, I don't know what I was thinking, y'all. I saved everybody who called me, everybody. They're just total strangers. And I would call them, hey, this is Sheri Pettus with Keller Williams Realty. For some reason, your name and number are stored in my phone. And for the life of me, I can't remember. Did we talk about you buying or selling a house before? And that opens the door to that conversation, right? I would get handwritten note cards. I'm a big cheerleader of handwritten note cards. I'll go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and I'll buy every little pack that has the blank ones that say thank you, and then the ones that are just completely blank. So when I have a conversation with a person on the phone, when I'm lead generating, I send them a handwritten note card. Thank you for taking my call. When you're thinking about selling real estate, please, let's talk again. And on the weekends, a lot of times I don't leave my house on the weekends. I will binge watch a TV show and I'll get those handwritten note cards and I might write out 100 of them. Thank you for taking my call. Next time you want to talk about real estate, give me a call, Sheri Pettus. I put my business card, I lick it, seal it up. I have return labels with the office address. I'll go to the post office and buy. I used to can only afford to buy 50 stamps at a time, but now I go buy a whole roll, or I might buy 10 rolls. I might go and spend $500 on postage, but now I have enough to get me through, several weeks. I probably mail out 25, 30 handwritten note cards a week. One of the things that I do is I'm very intentional when I talk to people and I lead generate that I get their information while I'm talking to them. So a perfect example was I was out one day and I met this lady and she said her name was Ursula. And again, we at the nail salon. I get my nails done. right? But it could be the barbershop. It could be wherever you go. Don't have to be the nail salon. And we talked. I'm trying to, I'm just giving her my information and we're exchanging information. And I asked her a few questions. Hey, my name is Sheri. What's your name? I'm very skillful in getting people's information. A lot of times, by the time we end up having a conversation, I know what street you live on, what subdivision, what's your name. And I will go back to my office and write a handwritten note card. And I did that with Ursula. She told me she lived on Elliott Road. And I went, oh, fantastic. I sold a house down the street. I sell a house down the street from everywhere. Down the street could be 5 blocks away or 10 neighborhoods away. I sell a house up the street to everybody. And I said to her, oh, I sold a house right up the street. And I actually did that time, right? But when I got back to the office, I went to her tax records and I found out, because I knew her last name, and I knew what street she lived on. I wrote her a handwritten note card. Ursula, it was so nice to meet you at the nail salon the other day. Remind people where they met you. If you ever need a realtor, give me a call. 3 months later, I get an email. Hey, Sheri, this is Ursula. We met at the nail salon. I was so impressed you sent me a handwritten note card, because that's what we used to do back in the day when I used to sell real estate. What I didn't tell you at the nail salon is my mom had just died a few weeks before. I inherited her home. Because I know so many real estate agents, I don't want to hurt any of my friends' feelings, so I'm going to choose a total stranger. Would you be interested in listing my mother's house? It was one of them fancy houses over in the country club. Hell yeah, I'm interested, boo. Sent out them handwritten note cards. They work. And that is only one example of how those handwritten note cards have made me a lot of money. Next question.
So I have a question. A lot of people say this is a very difficult real estate market, but you seem to have this unbelievable energy and positivity. Like, how do you keep that day after day in a difficult market? Like, what do you do? Is there anything you're doing? Is it exercise? Is it meditation? Affirmations? Like, what do you do to stay up like this all the time?
I cry it all out at night before I go to bed.
All right.
I do a little crying, do a little drinking. I am a firm believer. All of that is true. I'm not joking. Like, I do a little crying, I do a little drinking, right? But y'all, you ain't got no other choice. I learned a few years ago, you either believe it can or you fall victim to it can't. That's it. And for me, a lot of it is God. I don't know about everybody else. I'm not trying to preach to you, but this time last year, I was so depressed and in such a funk over my business, just over life, my money, and this sounds kind of weird, but I went on 3 amazing trips. I went to Bali, I went to Mexico, and I went to Jamaica, all within about 50 days, right? But I cried myself to sleep every night before those trips because I felt guilty that I wasn't lead generating the way I should be, and my money wasn't the way it should be. So when I came back from Jamaica, which was a very humbling trip because I fell and almost lost a tooth. That's a whole nother conversation. However, when I came back, I decided I was going to change my mindset and get back to being like Sheri Pettus is usually a pretty bubbly person. So I did 3 things. I started listening to James Shaw's Pivot Shift every morning. And this was last May. I read Larry Kendall's Selling Ninja. I read that and I listened to The Secret. Y'all, it changed my business. From June to December, I took 30 listings. My business exploded after I did those 3 things. Oh, and I did one more thing. At night, I stopped watching the news in the morning and I stopped watching the news at night. And what I did at night is I started listening. I went on YouTube and I Googled nighttime motivation about peace and serenity and the benefits of positive affirmations and being a money magnet. And I'm telling you, it was like somebody opened up the blinds And in 90 days, y'all, I sold like 5 million.
That's amazing. All right, there are a bunch of questions. One last question for me, and then I'll turn it over to the other people, just because I'm dying to know myself. Like, what does a typical day look like for you? Are you one of the people that time block and have this regimented schedule, or what's your schedule look like?
Yep. So I remember reading The Morning Miracle, and I did some research, and then Gary Keller and a whole bunch of other smarter people than me said millionaires get up early, get up between 5 and 6. So I started getting up earlier. Do I get up at 5? No, I get up at 6:30, right? But I'm usually in the office by 8 o'clock. I am the fourth person in the building, and I can tell you exactly who is in the office before me, because it's always the same 3 people, right? It's 4 of us in the office by 8 o'clock. I go in my office and I turn my music on. I love music. I will forever be 21 in my car, ride around with my windows down and my music cranked up as high. And so I go in my office, I turn my music on, I dance, I meditate, I might read a prayer or a scripture. And by 9:15, 9:30, I'm on the phone. I lead generate between that time and about 11:30, 12 o'clock. I do not make doctor's appointments. I do not go to the dentist. I don't go to closing. The only thing I'll do during that time is when my kids were younger, if they had something at school to do. That's it. I have a sign on my door. It is laminated and it can be turned around. One side is blank. The other side says stop. It's a big stop sign. And it says stop. I am lead generating. I am making phone calls. I am making money. Should you interrupt me during this time, please have $17 in cash in hand for every minute you need, because my coach calculated when I lead generate the way I'm supposed to, I make $1,020 an hour. So if you knock on my door during that time, you take 1020 and divide it by 16, that's $17 a minute. So I take my lead generating time very seriously. That a couple of assistants ago, when I first started building my bunker, my coach told me to go get 2 water guns for my 2 assistants. And they had my permission to squirt me with a water gun if I came out during those 50 minutes, right? So I lead generate. I typically will either go to lunch or an appointment. And most days I'm home by 4 o'clock. When my kids were in school, I was very adamant about working my schedule and lead generating at a high level so I could be home by 3 o'clock, because my 22-year-old, when she was 8, she told me I cared more about my closings than I did her. I had a conversation with my kids. We figured out some things, and I became laser focused so that I could drop them off and pick them up every day, non-negotiable. There was no bus ride. There was no, I mean, I could call my husband or my mom, something like that, but my kids stopped riding the bus after a conversation about me sucking as a mother.
Well, that's an incredible schedule and a lot of discipline there. I love that. So we've hit 3 o'clock. I know your time is precious. So do you have time for just a couple more? Can we go over a few minutes and answer a few last questions? Do you have
Absolutely.
time? Sorry?
I just got to be at this place by 6 o'clock, and I need 1 hour nap, so we good.
All right. Well, you just said you make more than $1,000 an hour. We can't afford to keep you much longer. But Elizabeth, you have some questions?
Done for the day, except for this event tonight, but go right ahead.
Sheri, what was the other book you said? I caught Miracle Morning, but there was a book you said before that changed your life, and I want everyone to hear it again.
Larry Kendall's Ninja Selling.
Oh,
and
Ninja Selling.
Yep, and The Secret.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll get those in the chat for everyone. Someone messaged me.
Ninja Selling was probably one of the best real estate books I've read in my career. I loved it. I'll probably read it again.
Sheri, I just want to let you know I've gotten so many texts. People are loving you. There was a mix of texts of how much they loved you and your energy, and everyone wants how you work your expireds. Is that something you could share in writing with us after?
I don't have anything in writing, but how about this? If y'all bring me to New Jersey, I will teach you a class all about I get expired listings. I will come up in person. It's very interactive. Houston. You hear that, Al?
Luann or Darlene, did you guys want to unmute and ask your question?
Hi,
Luann just
Sheri,
said
it's
that you were the
Darlene.
best
How
speaker
are
we've
you?
had. Oh, go ahead, Darlene.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, I was a agent at Keller Williams Atlanta Classic before I
Oh,
came
I'm
back to
here.
New Jersey. Yes, so
Yeah.
yeah, so selling real estate in New Jersey is a lot different than Atlanta. And my question is what do you recommend in a market that does not have a lot of new builds? Because this is a well-developed area in Ridgewood and Bergen County and this area of the country. So would you recommend?
You mean to do what? To put on your social media because you can't go into new construction?
Well, really just to generate leads and to generate sales and listings, because when you go into new builds, it's a lot different, and a lot of people who live in the area in Atlanta, after several years, they're going to sell whatever they had to go into a new build. So how do you generate leads in a market that doesn't have a lot of new builds? And
I don't do new build. Like, I don't mess with buyers anyway. I don't like buyers. I've worked with probably 5 buyers in the last 4 or 5 years. So new construction and new build, that's not even part of my circle. My circle is resale. I would look for a neighborhood where you know the majority of the homeowners are older and maybe going into assisted living. Their families got to sell. I would go into a neighborhood that's probably 10 years old, 15 years old, because most likely those old homeowners are going to be looking for something different. Definitely for sale by owners. For sale by owners got real cocky during 2021, 22. They didn't need us because the market was on fire and everybody was kicking down their door. Now they're behind the begging for some help. I would go after FISBOs. I should preach to the choir and go do it my damn self.
All right.
I don't know.
Look up some FISBOs Monday. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
There's your task for Monday. Zoom user. I don't know who you are, but you're unmuted. Did you have a question? I guess not.
All right. I think Luann had a question about your.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Sheri, you're just fantastic. I think Al, we have to bring her to New Jersey. But you did answer all my questions, your schedule and what you do daily. And so thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Listen, y'all, take down my phone number. If any of you have any questions, you can call me. I'm not that agent that holds all my secrets. Clearly, I tell all my business. My number is 404-642-1618. 404-642-1618.
Thank you.
And any of y'all can call me.
I think we have one last question. We'll wrap up with David Radney. It looks like he has a question.
Sure.
Hey, Sheri, what's up? I just wanted to tell you, amazing talk today. I really enjoyed your energy, and I'm definitely going to reach out to you and call you for sure.
Thank you.
I would love to have you be a guest. I do a morning mindset call for all the agents here, and I have something that I'd love for you to talk about. If you'd be open to it, I want to reach out to you if you're open to it.
Sure. I'm always open to talk to agents.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to hold you so you can take your nap, but we appreciate you.
Need a nap. I'm old.
All right. Well, I think that probably wraps it up. I definitely suffice to say this is probably our, one of our best, if not our best session based on the feedback. We're getting so many texts and comments, and we definitely have not had a session where people are willing to pay their own money to fly you to New Jersey. So that shows you what a great speaker you are. So we'll definitely be in touch about that. We can't thank you enough, and good luck tonight at your event. No,
All
you
right.
don't need to be drinking and crying tonight after your event.
Oh, I'm gonna keep lead generating. I'm gonna look, and I'm on a panel with 3 other agents. I'm about to take all of them out the box.
Awesome. All
Bye,
right.
Sheri. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Sheri.
much.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Y'all
thank
have
you.
a
Thank you, Sheri.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.